Namaste. How's everybody doing? Okay, just want to show you what I have on the table. We got somebody that looks like me over on the table. We got our puppies eating their bones. Casper, don't you dare. You leave him alone, okay? Anyhow. Okay, guys, we are about to read a story. Happy Easter. I said I was going to do this. I put my meatballs on and my sauce. It took a couple of hours, and it's still cooking. But the meatballs are all done, but I like to put them to cook in the sauce after they're cooked in the oven to make sure they're totally burnt. Okay, so happy Easter, everybody. Devin had this filled it with candy for me. And I have my coffee here. And I'm just going to say a little bit about Easter, what Easter really means, because it does. Okay. Yeah, my camera crew is out for Easter today. And the makeup crew. I put a little makeup on. Okay, sorry about the bags. Anyway. Hey, Casper. Go away. You already had yours. Okay? Let him have his. Okay? That's just smoke. My dog is afraid of smoke. Okay, so, anyhow, what are we doing here? I don't know. Why don't you ask Miss B? Miss B, what are we doing here? You look a lot like me, Katrina. So don't even start. Don't even. Did you bring me an apple? No, I didn't. But I made Devin's lunch today after making a beautiful dinner last night. And then I made him a chicken sandwich with pickles and a cut up apple and also some chips because he requested some chips. Oh, well, good for you, Katrina. What did you have for yourself? That would be nothing. Now, I had a donut, but it didn't sit well with me, but that's okay. I'll have some chocolate soon. Well, that doesn't sound very healthy, Katrina. Miss B, yes? Miss B, I'm a grown woman. You don't look so grown with those big rabbit ears and a wig. You're trying to make your hair look like mine, as fine as mine? Yes, I am. Miss B, you're beautiful. I know that. Katrina, I already know. Step off. Don't come for me unless I send for you. Okay. All right, so that was just Miss B. She just wanted to make an appearance. It's actually a very old troll that Devin found at a garage sale for me because when I was not feeling like I never got a retirement party like he did, and I never got those accolades, and they're not going to do it for me here in Texas, so I did get that. Devin set up a party once and made it my teaching day. And he bought me a cake and he found this character. Katrina, I'm not a character. My name is Miss B. I'm a teacher since I'm 17 years old. Okay? I do what I want with my hair. It's beautiful. Mwah. Happy Easter, everybody out there. Hope you're having fun with your families, and remember to be kind and do your homework and study. Everybody is flipping out today. Guys, I didn't want to do my, God bless you. God bless you. Go drink water. I didn't want to do my, this isn't a reading. This is just a reading of a book, okay, for Easter. I didn't want to do it in the dining room because it's gosh darn messy. And I wanted to sit near my dogs because they get sad when I go away. They have very bad separation anxiety. So that's why I'm sitting here in the kitchen. Devin's sound asleep over there. I have angel music on. I hope you could hear it. It's Jason Stevenson, 528 Hertz. Calls the angels and healing prayer music. Okay. All right. So, guys, the first book we have, you're like, when is she getting started with the book over here? Stop being a weirdo and get the books going. Okay, here we go. I might change the camera angle if I could figure out how to do that, but I might not be able to figure it out. Anyhow. This book is special memory because my mom used to read it to me, but I just want to tell you a little bit about it. The author and the illustrator, it was a lady named Beatrice Potter. She lived in England. She was very rich, but she was very lonely. Being rich does not mean... Is that too high? That's what she said. Okay. All right. This is a children's show, so stop being an idiot. Okay, thank you. Everything's going to be all right. All right. Anyhow, just because you're rich doesn't mean that solves all your problems. Okay, so I'm just going to read you, because this is a really old book, and that's what makes it even more special. You could see. It's like yellowing. Okay, and it says... Beatrice Potter survived a grim Victorian upbringing to create the most beloved children companions in a whole of a children's literature. She had been born into a period of class which seems to have little understanding of childhood, so she invented her own world and people with it. Peter Rabbit, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, Squirrel Nutkin, Jeremy Fisher, and Taylor of Gloucester, and a parade of other irreplaceable characters. Born in July 1866 into a well-to-do London household, Helen Beatrice Potter looked forward to her summers in the country, and where she used animals as other artists and used models and still lifes. Later fell from the chandelier and died. What? Where she used animals and other artists used models and still lifes. Okay. The Tale of Two Mice. Later fell from the chandelier and died. Miss Tiggy Winkle, in real life, Beatrice Potter's own pet hedgehog, bit her mistress when asked to model too long. The books contain the wicket gates, the garden paths, and village inns of her childhood summers. Some of them include detailed sketches of the house at the hill and Top Farm where she spent her last years, a prosperous and highly regarded sheep farmer, known as Mrs. William Heelis by all. The Potter books are noted for their nonsense, lack of sentimentality. Rabbits and mice regularly wind up in pies. Fisher frogs narrowly escape trouts' mouths, etc. She was way too close an observer of nature's rules to deny them in her books. The style matched the content in integrity. When Beatrice Potter wanted to pare her paragraphs down, she read a page or two of the Bible. See how this is coming together? So she read a page or two of the Bible when she wanted to, get a focus. Okay. And when she was glad, and she was glad, very glad, that her stories, the earlier of which she had to publish herself. So self-publisher, yes. I'm a self-publisher, by the way. Okay. Could be, she had to publish herself. Could be sold to her readers for moderate prices. Me too. Practical or zero prices. Practical and unassuming to the last. She once commented that all my little friends happened to be shilling people. She died in December 1943 with the sweet knowledge that 2 generations of children were Potter people, and that somewhere in the French village a child was just then running a small finger under a passage about 4 rabbits, flops out, trots out, and queue de carton et pierre. So in other words, her books were also published and rewritten in French. So that made her very happy. The Tale of Peter Rabbit may be the most famous children's story. Get down from there. May be the most famous children's story on 2 continents. It started out as a letter to a sick child. 5-year-old Noel, the son of the governess who had taught her German, the rabbit Peter did in fact belong to Beatrice Potter. See, I have a rabbit. His name is Mr. Pickles. And the letter was written in 1893. And this is Avenel Books, a division of Crown Publishers, and from 419 Park Avenue, South, New York, New York, 1016. So I love when I see books published in New York. And I try to always publish my book. I actually went there with my manuscript many, many years ago when his mommy coming home and pound the pavement and went into different places. And I actually had to sit down a meeting with one of the publishers there. Of course, I did not get it. Okay. So I decided to publish it myself. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fire tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there, and he was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor." "Now, run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out." Sorry. Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down to the lane to gather their blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. I remember staring at this picture when I was a little kid. I just would stare at this picture. I don't know why. I didn't understand why. He looks like he got stuck, and I just didn't understand. It's okay, babies. First he ate some lettuce and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. Get down. They are being so naughty today. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. Why? Because parsley makes you feel better, makes your belly feel better. But fresh parsley. Hold on a second. But round the end of a cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief! Stop, thief!" Because Mr. McGregor was mad because Peter Rabbit was eating all his vegetables that he planted that he needed to have for his own family. And Mr. McGregor was mad at Peter for digging up all those vegetables. And how do you think Peter feels right now? Yeah, probably a little scared, right? Very, very nervous. And probably thinking, maybe I should have listened to my mother. Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have got away altogether if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, But his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to excrete himself. So the birds were trying to tell him, try to get yourself out, Peter. Try to help yourself to get loose from that fence. Don't just lay there and give up. So were the birds nice to him, or were the birds mean to him? Yeah, the birds were being a friend. Mr. McGregor came with a sieve, which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter. But Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. And he rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can, and it would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath the flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking underneath each. Presently Peter sneezed, "Kerchoo!" and Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. I hope Peter can get out of there and get home to his mom and his sisters. I hope his family. I hope that he can get out of there so he doesn't get hurt by Mr. McGregor. And tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter, so he went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest, and he was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can of water. After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity-lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out and over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth she could not answer. She only shook her head at him when Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white can was staring at some goldfish. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now The tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it was best to go away without speaking to her, and he heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes, but presently, as nothing happened, he came out and he climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow, and he started running as fast as he could along a straight walk behind some blackcurrant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. See who's watching over him? The three birds. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket, the shoes, for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Here's one of my favorites. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fire tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made him some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. At 1 tablespoon to be taken at bedtime. I'm going to read that again because this is one of my favorite pages because I didn't understand what chamomile tea was. My mother had made, we had been brought up on tea. We would have like 5 tea bags, 5 teas a day because we were kind of poor. We didn't have a lot of food, but we always had tea and sugar in the house. So I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter, 1 tablespoon to be taken at bedtime. So I would ask my mother if she could tell me what that was and why did she give him that and why doesn't she give me that? So she answered me, and it was a special time. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who had listened to their mother, they got to have bread and milk and blackberries for supper. The end. I always felt bad for Peter Rabbit But my mom used to say, well, when Peter gets better, he should start listening to what his mother tells him. And that's by Beatrice Potter. She drew the pictures. She used to draw the pictures often with pencil or pen, ink, the old-fashioned ink pen, and then color the pictures in with watercolors. That I know. Babe, you might want to look at what's going on over by the cars, because they have been flipping out and staring out there. Oh, Casper has looking there for a long time. Doesn't this girl look like me? From you, when you did my teacher day, my retirement party. Thank you, baby. Thank you, baby. Yeah, I explained it to them where I got that from. Oh my God. Babe, they're staring out that door.
There's nothing there. I'm not going out there.
Guys, this is a little short one. This is called Peter Rabbit, and this is a different version that they would do for very young children. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits. Their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a grassy bank beneath the roots of a very big fire tree. Peter Rabbit. "Now, my dears," said Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Run along now and don't get into mischief. I am going out." Mrs. Rabbit took her basket